Hey Ashley, wow, it looks really good so far. I really like the way that some of these objects are relating to each other, and you have a really nice amount of variety. Um, right off the bat, I just have a few suggestions. Well, one thing I really do like to do too is I like to select all these layers and put them in a group, and you just click right down here because then you can just turn it on and off, and you can move it and scale it and do all other kinds of things. You can even name it something, Chris, whatever. You can even color it if you want. And what I kind of do is I like to when I have text layers, I usually color them one color because sometimes you're going to have a lot of as many as 40 or 50 layers. So right off the bat, what I'm thinking is that I would suggest separating these legs because then you're going to really be able to work with them more, right? So what I'm going to do is I am going to just copy this layer and let's see here. And this one side, let me turn off your keyboard stuff. This side, one of the sides should be bigger, right? Because it's going to be closer. And let's see here. This is the smaller. So this is probably going to be the bigger side. Let's see here. It's an odd perspective because actually we're looking down on it. It would be great if you could even get an image looking down on these lights because see how you're looking down and you're seeing the top of this and the sides. But anyway, let's just for let's make one of these bigger and just see how it affects the the perspective and the depth. So what I'm going to do is in this one. Okay, so anyway, what I did is I deleted one of the legs of each one, and I just separated them so you can move them independently. It's just a good idea to have as many layers as possible. I'm going to move your whole thing over a little bit. Oh, whoops, wrong tool. And then for this front one, I'm going to make it bigger because what's larger will come forward. So I'm just going to do a free transform and see what it looks like. And that might be too big, but I just kind of want to get an idea of, that might be a little bit too big. Make it a little bit smaller. And again, I'm just doing free transform, and then I'm holding the shift key down to constrain it. Move it a little bit too, so it just has a little bit more personality. So anyway, you can see how this kind of comes forward a little bit. I didn't do these little parts here, but again, then you can also, put the body above it, so then the legs are behind it. So that's just a few ideas to think about moving these around. I would also make the front mouse, even though it looks like you made it bigger already, I would just emphasize that even more because, again, it's just going to give it some more variety. And again, now it looks like this has some depth. Where's the other one? Probably move it a little bit up over here too. And another thing you could do is for the computer, you could do a levels adjustment. So again, you click here. We haven't really done this yet, but maybe we have that. Oh no, we did the hue and saturation. So if you just click that and you say levels, and again, I'm going to clip it, so just watch this, and then you kind of move these sliders over. See how it's giving it a little bit more detail in the dark areas, but maybe not too much, huh? So then, and again, you can undo these. The good thing about these adjustment layers, you can just turn them off. So what I'm going to do is clip it because then it's only going to affect the layer that's underneath it. Where's that big one? This could do. So the main point I'm trying to show you here is that it's just Photoshop has really cool tools, for scaling, for moving, for adjusting the levels. I'd probably make the back leg even a little bit smaller. Which one is that? But again, the process now, since you've got your layer mask, is just to really work to create the most, intriguing caricature that you can. I would probably even look for some other, you know, since this is such a big piece, these lamps, you might want to look for something that's more computer related. You know, there's so many different objects, and again, going back to you know, some of these things I've already showed you. See, you know, he's using the RAM here. Let's see what else. Two different mice because, you know, he wants more variety. Let's see. And again, this one you can see, you know, the RAM sticks, all the little cables and so on. So you might, you know, you might want to think of, you know, different ways to execute the legs, just because there's such a big piece of this that, and they're super cool. So maybe even just use one of, I don't know, I really like the way they're jointed. I'm just wondering what, you know, what you could do to make them integrate more with the theme, because it just doesn't, you know, it, you know, when one looks at it, it's like, computer stuff and then a lamp. So, and again, let's look, and again, I love, you know, the best thing to do is to really zoom in. And so yeah, you're going to need to clean up some of these masks later on, but you can use the smudge tool in the masks, and that will really help too, just to kind of smooth. Let's see. So this is a smudge tool right here, this kind of little finger thing. So you can just go in. What I do is I make it really big. And then you can just go in and even make, you know, with the brackets, make it smaller, and then just kind of smudge it. And you can set the strength up here. I usually start off really low and just kind of work with it. And what it does is it's really a way that it kind of smooths, you know, smooths out the edges. Another thing you could do is really, really zoom in. And this is, you know, and if you want to really create a portfolio piece, this is really what you need to do. And then you can see the edges, and so you can go in and make the, with the eraser, and even make them, you know, just delete some of the rough edges. And then again, that will help to clean up. That's just one way to clean up masks. There's so many different ways to do it. So anyway, yeah, I hope you find this useful. I think this is off to a really great start. I would just consider something with the legs. You know, and again, I don't know, maybe if you had a little bit better photo, I think this might come across like just not such a dark photo. It's just a little bit hard to see what this is. You know, you can go to, so you may want to look at some other towers, since you already have your concept. You know, we can go here to our tools, and we can make, you know, do a pretty big size because it's a big central part. And then we can kind of look to see, you know, I don't know, there's so many different things you can do too. You don't even need to use really a computer tower. You could use an Xbox, you know, something related. This is kind of interesting. Or even something kind of fun. That's kind of ugly, huh? I don't like these beige towers at all. You know, I don't know. I used to have an old iMac, and it's probably not going to have there. Like, you know, one of these older iMacs. I mean, that's a terrible photo, but just the picture's pretty cool. The shape of it's pretty cool. So there's just a lot of different, you know, there's a lot of different things that you can, you know, think about, you know, to make it clearer, and also just to kind of make it more integral, and each individual part, you know, look pretty good. I wonder why this kind of points up here is kind of interesting. But your cables look great. And again, you can work on, you know, some of the, you know, the size of this. You could go in and make, you know, make one side smaller or bigger so it looks, you know, maybe you want this side to, you know, to be a little bit smaller. You can even go in, you know, with the edit, transform, perspective. You know, you could make one side a little bit smaller if you wanted to. I'm not sure I like that. But again, there's a lot of different tools in Photoshop that you can use, or you could just make this a little bit smaller. So again, this looks like it comes forward, and you don't have to use, you know, you can make the individual objects any size you want to. It's mostly about creating an interesting design, and you know, just going back and forth with the objects and so on and so forth. Okay, so anyway, for the most part, it looks really good for this week. You know, some of the masks will need to be cleaned up in just some of these obvious areas. It's not a real big point hit. I will say that this tower looks slightly pixelated for how big it is. See how good this looks in resolution, but this looks kind of blurry-ish. It doesn't, it just doesn't have the pixel quality. And again, it's easy to swap out too, because your concept is really awesome. So anyway, I hope this helps. And my goal with everyone is to create a really strong portfolio piece. So I'm here to help. So grab me on Google Hangouts if you want, or email if you want more feedback. I'm happy to do it. Okay.